Hi, wherever you are, if you are somewhere right now, wherever you are, if this is live, wherever you are, I've said that 3, 4 times, it's 6 p.m. where I am. So wherever you are, where I am, so you may be somewhere else. You may not be 6 p.m. You may be 7. You may be 5. It doesn't matter. I just wanted you to know that it's 6 p.m. or 6:01, and it's March 6th, and it's 2021. I wanted you to know that as you tune in, because I didn't want any confusion. I kind of wanted to just like clarify right off the bat what we're doing. No, not what, when, right? When we're doing. We're doing it at 6, and stick around. We'll keep doing it until 6:45, right? Okay. So if you're new to this show, hang in there. The fun is just getting started. How do I know? I don't, but let me fake it anyways. I know it's Saturday night. I know you crazy people are getting ready to party. And so I'm going to warm you up. Hey, Kathy, Becky, Radine, and Chris, welcome. And anybody else, feel free to comment, say hello, say screw yourself. I don't care. I'm not that sensitive a guy. A little bit. I ain't gonna lie. So you could hurt my feelings, but what if it stops? Time? Ooh. Man's deeper than I am. Debbie, hello, Debbie, Mark, and Ann. Come on in. The cats are here. They're waiting for you. Well, there were 2. Now there's 1. That means there's 2 somewhere else. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about tonight. Okay. So you're probably wondering about my musical choices. Is there a story behind it? Here's what I wanted to do 1965. But then I got to thinking, you know what? When did Gloria come out? Because I really like that jam. It's Ken's Playhouse. I really like that jam. Gloria, the first one by them. Okay. So you probably all already kind of know that if you're old enough, right? I mean, you don't need me to tell you, but and then I put the next time there was a Gloria, but I didn't stop there, because while I was doing that, it occurred to me something important. And so, but let's take I'm going to get banned anyways, right? So we might as well get a taste of what's coming after the show if you hit the links. Yeah, baby. I'm from a hit to the ground. Yeah. Yeah. It's about midnight. Okay, so that's one, right? Okay, I know. Van Morrison, he was in there, right? Lava Gloria. Love. You mean love, Gloria. This thing she means. All right, so I didn't stop there. Then I went and I did Laura Branigan's version, which, by the way, I don't know that it was a big hit, but it's a big hit with me. Let's get right to it. Let's jam. Let's jump ahead. I like the phrase, the chorus. Yeah. I got that. Oh, well. Right? Now you're remembering, right? Everybody, you're thinking, yeah, that was a jam. Yeah. So while I'm doing that, right, I'm thinking to myself, Gloria is very connected to Catholic scripture. or chanting or whatever it's called, right? So I went looking and I found what I was looking for, but I didn't find a particular performance that I liked. But La Gloria de Dios is a Hispanic group, a young girl. I think you'll enjoy it. And that got me to thinking, Missa Luba, right? Right? You're like, oh my God, Missa Luba. Oh my God. She cracks me up. Gloria. Gloria cracks you up. Becky, love it. Thank you. All right. So listen, the Missa Luba I posted is Kyrie. I mean, it's just otherworldly. It's ethereal, right? So I didn't want to ruin that for you. So I loaded up another Missa Luba. Missa Luba was a jam album. Okay. If you haven't never listened to the whole album, do it. It's a combination of a church, African church, and African folk. You'll dig it. I swear to you. And so, but they also did some other stuff. And besides the one that I teed up, so I teed this up. No, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Benedictus, also 1965. I do get carried away, don't I? I mean, once it starts cooking, that was Benedictus, but the Kyrie eleison, you know that, glory be to God, I think that means. I don't know, I'm not Catholic. I'm just making it up. Okay? So, interesting, Mark knew right away about Van Morrison. I didn't know Van Morrison was in them. I couldn't even remember them was the group that did Gloria. I had to do some research, find it, and then first it came up under Van Morrison. And I'm like, well, I don't want the Van Morrison version, but I did want the Van Morrison version because he was in them. So you popped that bad boy right away. All right. So glory to God. Although I don't necessarily, I'm not a theist. I'm not an atheist. I'm an agnostic. Could be a God. I don't go around, I don't go around bad repping God, bad mouthing God, right? That's not me. I'm on like, if you can hurt me, how do I get along with you? Unless I could hurt you, but I don't see that with this God thing. I'm kind of like, I'm a lot like Woody Allen. He's an agnostic. And he also said on the topic of dying, I don't mind dying. I just don't want to be there when it happens. I'm like, I am so with that, right? This whole vulnerability, mortality, fragility that we all have going on, that we all experience because all things are impermanent anyways. I mean, if we were a building, we could last through a lot of human lifetimes. But in this case, we all happen to be human. If we were buildings, we would still be impermanent, but we wouldn't be listening to a podcast. Or if we were listening to podcasts, we probably couldn't type any comments. So around this mortality thing, people found God. And God is important to a lot of people for very good reason, And sometimes I'm jealous of people that have a firm belief in God. But let me pontificate on that a while. There is so much uncertainty, and humans, or everybody here has already had proven to them that many of the people, important people in their lives, in my life, turned out to be undependable. And in some cases, possibly cruel, could have been a former spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, parent, sibling, doesn't matter. We may have experienced them as being cruel, and oftentimes that kind of punches you and makes you a little shy of getting in the ring we call life, right? Because you jumped in and you got punched out. So we find humans, almost by definition, can be a tremendous source of unreliability, right? And so we often find that carrying the notion of God with us is really very grounding, because by believing in this higher power, God, we can carry God with us. And God, if you got a good attitude, will never betray you, because you can always create the God of your choice, your understanding. So if you're going to do that, don't create a punishing God, create a loving God. And that God can be called up instantaneously anytime. Debbie's probably done it many times, especially in moments of despair, difficulty, troubles. What a wonderful thing to be able to call upon God to help me to navigate whatever the difficulties are, either via my prayer for acceptance, very simple and basic, or maybe by my prayer for the path out of trouble, prayers for others, right? I mean, God answers questions that are otherwise not answerable, like what happens when I die? You know, well, God can also be accompanied by heaven and hell, purgatory for some of you. I'm not there. So what we do. I don't know what you do. What I've done is I've often called upon God, G-O-D, capital G-O-D, for the benefit of others. Especially as I've said to you in previous podcasts, I will pray unhesitatingly for the well-being of friends, typically who are in dire straits. Not somebody who's just like lost a job or something. I don't pray for them, but somebody maybe who's been diagnosed terminally, or who may be on death's door already. They're in the bed. They didn't just diagnose. They're actually, I will pray my ass off for them. Or somebody going into a very dangerous situation like a surgery. I will pray for them. And I will pray to God, because who else would I pray to? As a practitioner of Buddhism, I don't really pray. I share blessings with you. You've shared blessings with me. That's really a very positive thing. So, but I find that what the Buddhist gave me is not too dissimilar from what Judeo-Christian gave to me. Something that represents the nature of my life. So for me, the uncertainty, the troubles are met with a recognition of the need, the absolute need to be in a place of acceptance in order to minimize the suffering I'm going to experience through my difficulties. So for me, the God of my understanding is acceptance. It really is. It's impermanence. It's this recognition, okay? And for me, that is my spiritual cornerstone. For you, it may be long beard. For many of you, it may be the crucifix. Jesus on the cross, nails, the whole thing. I don't know. Doesn't matter. The thing is, what does it do? What does it provide? It provides, as does Buddhism, and I think it's a fault in Buddhism, and I'll explain that another time. It explains mortality. In other words, why did you put me? Why am I here? Why am I 68 years old? Why was I born? Why must I fear the end when I have lived such a full life? Why do I still travel with the anxiety of my mortality? Why, despite many spiritual pursuits and acceptance and recognition of everybody else's mortality, why does my mortality trouble me so? Why do I wish it weren't so? And but then at the same time, when my mom was 99 years old, she told me she's ready to go. She was ready for the Vikings to launch her ship and set it on fire, but she wasn't. Her body wasn't ready to go, so she hung around for another 2 years, 2 years, almost 3 years, and cool beans, man. Chris says he still likes a good ritual. As long as I believed in God and God's will, I did not have to take responsibility for my actions. Okay, so that's you, Chris. I have never had a relationship with God, and I did have a relationship in my life with something I called God back in the 80s and early 90s. It did not in any way minimize my ability to take responsibility for my actions. Because no matter what I believed about God, I always believed, and I not just believed, I knew that I could chart my own course. There was always free will. So while I believed in God, and God's will merely meant to me an acceptance of what is. It didn't mean that I didn't do what it took to get here and that I didn't have to do something to move on. So for me, it wasn't like that. But I get what you're saying. A lot of people, there's a lot of people who, I was just reading about a woman, I think it was in Florida. She offered $1,500 to somebody to kill her mother-in-law. I'm not sure why, and the report didn't say why. So she was trying to hire some guys, and one of them started recording it because he went to the police, and the police were investigating. So they had him record her, and she said that she was a good Christian, and it really bothered her that she was doing this, but she would deal with that later on. She would ask forgiveness from Christ. So, that to me is like, that's so ludicrous. And I think that would be ludicrous to anybody, even though they may believe in God. Personally, I think that would be, you would find that ludicrous. The devil made me do it is a legitimate concern because, Chris, there are people who suffer from mental illness and they have genuinely felt the devil made them do it. And one of the worst things that the devil made them do is to kill their children, and that has typically been, so there's two insanities in the law. One is I didn't know what I was doing. I was killing my children, but I didn't realize killing them. I thought, whatever psychotic episode I'm having. The other one was I was under a compulsion. The devil made me do it. My kids were the devil. What do Jews believe in? Jews believe in God, and they sort of believe in hell, but they don't much push hell. Judaism, of course, came before Christianity, and it has a set of beliefs, and hi everybody. Liza just joined us. I see Rachel joined us, and Rose joined us, so hello to you all. And you have two aunts who are nuns. You don't hear that much anymore, do you? Anyways, as to what do Jews believe, I think that there is a power, but the Jews believe in a God which can engage in the affairs of humans. Thus, can God smite your enemies kind of thing. It's not too different from Islam or Christianity. And that is and God did smote them before they came before his people, and God did smite them with his mighty might, and he parted the seas, and his people crossed the Red Sea. And as the Pharaoh began to cross with his army behind, God did drown the Pharaoh's army. So you know what I'm saying. Anyways, so back to the more positive element of it. This God thing, or whatever you choose to believe. I'm using God because I think that God is the most rehearsed, most explored, most he's gotten the most press. Whether you're pagan or you're a Buddhist or you're this or you're that, the truth is that God's gotten more mileage than anybody. Okay, whether it's in the form of Allah or Jesus or whatever, at the end of the day, God runs it, right? And it answers the question of mortality because, as Chris kind of alluded to, uh, God's will. Well, what is God's will? So he put me on this earth to do the best I can, yada, yada, yada. And then he has a place for me. If I'm good, his place for me will be in heaven. If I'm bad, his place for me will be in hell. In other words, it continues the end of the story. And that's really important for people who genuinely and righteously are going to be fearful of death, because there's an impulse to live. It's built into you. That's why when somebody cuts off your air, I think you freak out trying to get air because you don't want to die, right? When somebody's been shot, if you don't know this, they will scream for help, and they could be way beyond help, but they'll be looking for it. God's the original cancel culture. Rose doesn't believe in the devil. Lies. I never understood why Jesus is referred to as King of the Jews. Then along comes, well, Jesus did not invent Christianity. Others came along. It's the same thing with Buddhism. The Buddha never said, I want you all to be Buddhist. He said, I want you to follow this path, what he called the middle path. And then after he's dead, people declare Buddhism. So it's a legitimate concern. How do you come up with Christianity when the Romans were calling him King of the Jews? Ray Dean says, mental illness aside, we all have a dark and light in us. If you choose dark, it is not Satan, it is you. But, as you said, mental illness aside, because usually there are some people who suffer from such mental illness. Can you imagine the torment of believing that Satan is participating in your death? Debbie, you have no fear of death. Well, so if you were here in the room, I'd say, is that because you believe in God, you believe in heaven, or you're just not afraid whatever's coming is coming? My mom didn't fear death. I do. I've done death meditations, which is something that Buddhists practice, kind of helps prepare you for your demise. But sometimes I freak myself out meditating on death. So I have always, in a sense, been jealous of Catholics and Christians in general, but more specifically Catholics. And I'm going to tell you why. I never wanted to be Catholic. I never wanted to be Christian. But when I began in 1982, when I came out of treatment in September of 82, almost August 1st, I embarked on a pursuit for a spiritual awakening, as is identified in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous. And as part of that pursuit, I did what people suggested, and I prayed. And my first prayers, I can tell you exactly where I was. I was on this track. It was midnight. It was an indoor track at my 24-hour club. And I would walk around and I said, this is the perfect time to pray. And I found some comfort. And the more I did it, I found more comfort. And I thought to myself, wow, I don't have a vision of God. I'm just doing this thing. Wouldn't it be comforting to see God the way so many Christians do? There's Jesus. I mean, there's images of Jesus. The Jews do not have an image of God. There is no depiction of God anywhere. It's talked about as though he's got a long beard and long silver hair, but we don't have that. And I thought, that must be very comforting. I used to kick around the track and I'd say, "Are you running with me, Jesus?" I think there was a book like that. And so that line would run through my head, "Are you running with me, Jesus?" And I thought to myself, that would be nice. But I also had the following thought, that faith is a belief without proof. There are people that feel there's proof of God, and so they have their belief. And I'm kind of like, but that's not what we hear about when we hear admonishments to faith. When pastors are encouraging people to have faith, I assume that, like myself, what they're really saying is, although there's nothing of substance, no proof, for you to believe in God is an act of faith. And in doing so, you will find some relief. Even the Buddha said, you should develop a faith in the practice. You should do this and have faith in it. You should believe that the teachings of the Buddha are reliable and trustworthy, and you can have faith in them. That faith was important. And so I found that true. That faith is magnificent, because faith tells me that I don't have to know. It can be a mystery. I can be an agnostic. I can be whatever I wish to be. My degree of comfort, my degree of ability to be present and take what's coming, good or bad, is really my faith. For me, my faith is that this will all unfold one way, shape, form, another. And my job is that whatever unfolds, whether I approve of it or not, I need to have acceptance of it, right? That's really a tenet of Buddhism. But I find that whether you believe in God or you believe in witches and goblins, or you believe in the devil, it doesn't matter. That if it's not accompanied by faith, there really isn't much point to it. I mean, you can give verbiage to, I believe in whatever it is, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, whatever it is. Pick a letter, pick a name, pick a tree. It doesn't matter. But if you want the comfort to be found in spiritual awakening, spiritual awareness, then at some point you have to have some faith, whatever that faith is. And it, unlike people, can be the constant companion. When you go to get a MRI, they will stick you in a tube usually. There are other MRIs that are not a tube, but usually it's a tube. And it's claustrophobic. And you get freaked out. I mean, a lot of people do. They get claustrophobic. But you know what? You can have God in that tube with you. You can fly a plane, and when there's turbulence and you're flipping the freak out because you don't like flying and you hate turbulence, you know, if you have some faith, you can have God sit with you on the plane. God doesn't take up any room. Even if there's somebody else sitting there, you can put God in that seat or in your lap or in your head, whatever you want to do, and have faith that not that the plane won't crash, but faith that everything will come out. If the plane crashes, it just crashes. It'll be what it is, right? I think that as people get older, you begin to fear life more than death if you have physical or health problems. That's an interesting turn. As you get older, you begin to fear life. I think I get it. I don't know about more than death because I see so many old people clinging to life. I see people with great physical maladies who cling to life despite a tremendous amount of suffering, pain, discomfort, tremendous, and yet they'll cling to life. And I've asked, why? Why cling? Because it's just something about the great unknown. Rose says, as humans, we have a need to believe in something greater than ourselves. Yeah, that was kind of like the opening statement, is that humans need to have something greater than themselves in order to handle these issues of life and death, suffering. You know, you lose a child, right? We talk about in our society what a horrible thing it is to lose a child. In fact, sometimes when you read a story about somebody who lost a child, it wouldn't be uncommon to read somebody who's saying, well, you know, she was only 6. That's too young to die. Um, no, that's not too young to die, right? There is no like bubble around kids that says they can't die. Everybody can die. And should we adopt this neurotic attitude that there's some segment of the population that's too good to die, too young to die, too smart to die, too evil to die? No, everybody's going to. The question is when. And that's not to say it's not a tragedy when a young person may die, you know, a very young person, but it's not like a curse. It's not like God's revenge on people. I could be a priest. A Hamlet's death a nightmare, sleep eternal. I wish I was more familiar with Shakespeare than I am. So I think from the comments, here's what I think. I think you all are demonstrating a real understanding of what I'm trying to communicate. That as I chose these kind of sacred songs to go after the 2 pop rock songs, that I did so that this whole idea of glory be to God is so, it's cool, man. It really is cool. I mean, there's a song, Salve Regina. It's in something. It's there's a lot of Gregorian chants, but it's been running through my head, and I can't remember. Oh, hi, Lisa. I don't know if there's a song, Salve Regina, and it's in a movie or a play. But anyways, it's another Catholic kind of thing. When you think about the sacred music that the Catholics, above all others, seem to have conjured up. Listen, when I was in England and I went to hear choirs You know what's beautiful about a place like Oxford or Cambridge? They place such a value on choirs. I think I've told you this before. They'll give you a scholarship to the university because you have a beautiful voice and can participate in choir. Like we give football scholarships. They don't play football, they play soccer. They have scholarships for people who have beautiful voices because they have such a respect. And when you hear sacred music, by that I mean church music, when you hear it, even though I'm not Catholic, I mean, to sit in a church with stained glass and Gothic ceilings and a choir that is singing these great sacred songs is just like, holy cow. How could you not, one, admire, two, even be jealous if you're not a Catholic, which I'm not? How could you not even for a moment think, I wish that was in my heritage, right? But, those type of things mostly originate out of Europe. The one I posted, Miss Haluba, originates in some respects. It's a version out of Africa. And of course, us Mexicans and a lot of South Americans have adopted Catholicism and they've added to the wealth of sacred music. I am absolutely envious at times. I have many CDs and no shortage of sacred music, okay? Because it's just, yeah, a Gregorian chant. There's I don't know anybody doesn't like Gregorian chants. I can't imagine any of you would not admire a great Gregorian chant, right? Um, so, uh, in fact, while I've got a moment, let me see what this is like. I'm just experimenting. So it says here that Salve Regina, or Hail Holy Queen, common Catholic prayer, and that was monks of the Abbey of Notre Dame. Okay, so I don't know. How could you not listen to a beautiful Gregorian chant and not go, as Chris just did, beautiful, just beautiful? They could be chanting, "Kill the Jews." I wouldn't know. I don't know a word of Latin, and I might be sitting there going, "Holy cow, that's good," right? And they could be saying, "String them up." I'm just saying. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't have to understand the words. The way it's presented is magnificent. It's just beautiful. So for me to think, or not to think, for me to deny the possibility that these things are inspired by a higher power, that sacred music, in fact, the people that write it, the people that put it to music, the people that sing it, that they themselves are not inspired by a higher power, a legitimate higher power, an existing higher power that I'm not in contact with, who am I to say? I read the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm like, wow, that's some really cool stuff. But if you want some really cool stuff, the 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous is a mind blow. They say right in their traditions, which all groups have to adhere to, we have no leaders. We have but trusted servants. I've never belonged to another organization, didn't have a leader, right? Well, here's the problem with leaders. There's very few organizations I've ever been a part of in my life where I didn't dislike some of the leaders and think, you know what, screw you, I'm out of here, right? What a concept to have an organization and then an organization that had one purpose and admonished a rule not to engage in any controversial subjects. So you don't get involved in politics. You don't even get involved in other forms of recovery. You just focus on recovering from your alcoholism. You stay away from anything that would bring about matters of prestige or pride or and I'm like, wow, So groups in AA, they don't even take donations from if you were real rich and you said, I want to help y'all build a building. AA would legitimately say, yeah, no, we don't play that way. We collect from people who are sitting at the tables, and it's all voluntary donations. I'm like, man, I'm signing me up, right? Interesting song to listen to, Center of Eternity by Ozzy. I have no idea what that's about. I'll look that up after the show. Theism and atheism refer beliefs. Agnostics prefer beliefs or refer to. Agnosticism and Gnosticism refer to knowledge. I'm an agnostic atheist. Chris, you're way over my head, baby. I ain't gonna lie to you. I never went that deep. Never. And I used to have a guy that called himself a Gnostic who ran my radio board in Tucson. He even had a show called Gnostics. I don't know. And I never understood it. I still don't. I do know what theism and atheism mean, but I don't know what you mean when you say refer beliefs. So, but I'm going to learn because you're going to tell me. It's 6:42. It's a Saturday night. And I think what I did was, and this was spontaneous, I was sitting here at 5:52 looking up Miss Aluba. I had no intention of talking about God. I had no intention of talking about Gloria. It just unfolded. So let me wrap up. I don't mind where I went because I think it's an important topic. I think that our own recognition of whatever fears, insecurities we have. In Debbie's case, she doesn't have a fear of dying. But I promise you, Debbie has fears, right? And in large measure, and Kathy's talking about health issues, as we begin to degenerate based on age, it can be quite comforting to, be moving closer to God rather than, moving away due to our physical ailments from the great life we wanted to live. We're moving towards the glory of the end. So I'm jealous in many regards of a good, solid foundation, belief in God or higher power as you understand them. I don't have that. I'm working on it. I've been working on it a long time. It hasn't happened lately. Doesn't matter. All right. So thank you, Rose. We're going to do a quick metta. We bring our hands together before our hearts. If you're new, this metta is a Buddhist practice that we do whenever we meditate. We always culminate. Well, some people begin with, some end with. I end with metta. So imagine the last 45 minutes was a kind of a verbal meditation on life. And now we're going to close with metta, loving kindness. Closing my eyes, bringing my hands before my heart, and bowing my head as if I'm in church and praying. But I think to myself, may I be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. And may this practice lead me to freedom from suffering, freedom from the fear of death, mortality, illness. May my mother and father, wherever they are, and my relatives, my living relatives, and all my friends. Be happy, be healthy, be free from all harm. May they too find this path that leads to great peace and comfort. May those persons that I have difficulty with because I harbor some resentment or ill will towards them, I send them an open heart, goodwill, that they may be happy, healthy, free from harm. May they be enjoying their lives in peace, comfort, and joy. And to all living beings throughout the entire universe, not just this planet, all planets, all galaxies, all living beings, be the recipient of this collective goodwill. May they all be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May all living beings be safe, comfortable, and at peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. By the way, I was very upset. I went bicycling this morning. I went about 56 miles. And then I went out again this afternoon because I didn't want to just sit around. I went out and I saw possum, dead possum. I saw a dead skunk. You know, I think they'd been hit by a car or something. And it just hurts me to see this death of these animals because my thought is, my goodness, they were probably minding their own business. You know, here we moved in on their turf. So I always say a special blessing for these animals when I see them. Thank you, Kathy and Lisa and Liza and Mark and Ann and Chris and Becky and Rose and Rachel and Lisa, if I forgot to say Lisa. And listen, if I forgot to mention, I apologize. Radine. I'm pretty sure it's a Kathy, Debbie, Tammy, if she showed up. I don't know. Anyways, roadkill sucks. So y'all, as Rose says, have a peaceful weekend. I'll see you Monday if you're back here. If you didn't make a comment, you can still make a comment even after I close this video, and it'll remain in perpetuity, and I will get the message. Good night.